First of all, I would like to wish you a very good evening, and according to your countries and your regions you are joining at the moment. In this webinar today, we are going to discuss about the web and software development. Um, as usual, we are not going to discuss about the core theories and how to we are going to develop the applications, then how we are going to develop. These are the items not to discuss in this forum. So but we are going to discuss about what are the latest technologies, what are the latest trends are available with the web and software development practices. uh, Before starting the session, I will give a brief introduction myself. I am WM Chiranta Jananathi Wangakitulwat, and currently I am working as a lecturer in Sri Lanka in the government and national state university. I have completed my postgraduate degree in the Master of Philosophy degree in Computer Science from the Sabaragam University of Sri Lanka. Plus, I have completed the Bachelor of Science Honours degree in Software Engineering with the First Class Honours and 4 Dean's Awards. Further, I have completed the certificate course in teaching in higher education that was accredited by the University Grants Commission of Sri Lanka. I am working as a head of the department. Plus, I have the memberships of the Young Scientist Forum of the Ministry of Education Sri Lanka. Then I am a member of the Internet Society for the Asia Pacific region. Then I am a member of the Sri Lanka Association for the Improving Higher Education Effectiveness. Plus, I am a member of the IEEE. At the moment, I have published more than 30 research articles, including indexed, non-indexed journals, plus the conferences and the abstract papers. I have 4+ years experience in the IT industry as a DevOps engineer. So I have worked with the multinational companies in the worldwide that are reputed in the field of the manufacturing plus the IT. So that is brief on me. So let's move to the today's discussion. Um, uh, Before we go to the discussion of the web development practices, um, first of all, let's see what are the basic web development technologies and tools are available. So in this slide, once I uploaded to the platform, I think these are merged. So do not worry on that. Let's discuss. When we consider about the basic web development practices and the technologies, first of all, everyone is going to learn about the HTML. It is the preliminary technology we have to learn. So HTML is the structure that is going to make the web applications. Then after we make in the structure of the web, then we can add an interactivity by using the CSS. If I say in simply, we can make more interactive with the smart look by using the CSS. Then the JavaScript is the technology that is going to make the user interactivity with web systems. So plus we are going to say that it is a front-end web application technology and a programming language. Further, when we go for the advanced web development practices, definitely we need to have server-side programmings. So what are the actions is going to happen in the server side? So for that case, as a beginner, so everyone is going to learn about the PHP. So these 4 technologies are the fundamental programmings, and the particular languages are available for the basic web development. So when we go for the advanced theories and advanced web developments, we need more features, we need more functionalities, and we need to have more transactions on the web. For that particular purposes, we can use the jQuery. It is one technology. um, Further, we can say it is some kind of framework also, but anyway, it is some kind of web technology. So jQuery is going to support for the next level of the development of the web. Then we can use the Bootstrap. Bootstrap is some kind of a framework for the web development. It is going to provide such kind of features, advanced features for the web. If I say about what the term I am going to use as the framework, so I will introduce that in the next slide, because next slide we are going to discuss about the frameworks and other technologies. So in simply, the frameworks are going to support for the developers, making more easiness. It is not needed to go from the scratch. Then when we go to the advanced web developments and the such programmings, definitely we need to have the database management systems. For that particular case, the fundamental and the widely used and famous and trending database management system vendor is the MySQL. Further, the PostgreSQL is going to use by most of financial sectors and kind of things for the web applications. That is about the basic web development. If anyone is needed to learn about the web development, these are the fundamental things they have to learn. Then if we go for the uh, such tools for the web developments and kinds of things, definitely they need to have some kind of other tools. Previously we discussed about such technologies are available. To access those technologies, definitely we need to have some kind of tools. Basically, here I have not mentioned the different names, but I have mentioned such logos. Just looking about these logos, you can identify what is this product. Think about if you see some kind of worldwide products, just looking about the Apple logo, you know that it is Apple. If you see the logo for the Samsung, you know that this is a Samsung. Likewise, so just looking this icon, you know that this is a Visual Studio Code. It is a famous and trending code editor that is going to use by most of programming languages and such technologies. Then IntelliJ IDEA, it is a well-defined package, so we can use the premium version. And most of industries they have purchased their license, and this is also with more features. The previously we discussed about the two database management systems like the MySQL. To access the MySQL database management system, definitely we need to have some kind of a client tool. So most popular and featured client tool for the MySQL is the MySQL Workbench. This is that. Then to access the PostgreSQL database management system, again we need to have a dedicated client tool, that is the pgadmin. So previously the pgadmin was a desktop application. At the moment now it is with the web version. Then HideSQL is another uh, client tool for the MySQL database management system, but it is with some limited facilities than the MySQL Workbench. If we need more such kind of configurations, looking for the performances of the database management systems and to monitor the particular queries and how it is going to utilize, and to look about the how the engine is working with the database management systems, and to control the database management systems kind of things, those features are available with the MySQL Workbench. But to execute such queries and filtering the results, so we can use the HideSQL. Again, we know that the most of essential our documents that are available in our mobiles and our computers, we need to sync those documents with a particular drive location. Same like, so we need to have the particular dedicated location to archive our source code. In that particular case, we need to have the source code repositories. So most popular three repositories are GitHub, GitLab, and the Bitbucket. So most of three are using in the industry. But as a beginner, so anyone can start with the GitHub. So it is very fundamental and it is very easy to use. Next is the most important. So after we learned about the preliminaries of the web development, then definitely we need to go for the advanced web development practices. In that case, everything we cannot start from the beginning. So we need to start from some kind of upper level. In that particular case, we need to use some kind of frameworks. As I said previously, the usage of the frameworks is making an easiness. Everything is almost prepared. If I take a small example, suppose that if you are going to prepare a cake, so you can prepare that cake from the scratch, from the beginning. Everything is going to collect, gather, and you are going to produce, and you are going to prepare the cake. Or else you can purchase a cake from a particular place and you can bring and you can make particular arrangements on that. Same like for the frameworks. So if you are working with the frameworks, you are not needed to start from the beginning. The framework is going to provide the file structure, folder structure, all managements, necessary fundamental codes, everything's are going to provide by the framework. So the most popular framework is the Angular at the moment. It is a front-end framework, and it is a JavaScript-based framework. So if anyone is very good with the JavaScript, definitely they can go ahead with the Angular as a web framework for the uh, front-end development. Then this is the old logo for the Angular. Now in latest they have updated their logo with purple and red colored, but previously they were with the only uh, red color. Then the Node.js again another JavaScript based framework. The Vue.js and the Express.js. Those are most popular JavaScript based frameworks. Definitely we can identify that because those are with JS. So if anyone is with the JS, then we can identify that it is with the JavaScript. Then the Laravel is another popular framework that is coming with the PHP. So most of applications are going to develop with the Laravel programming language. So the Laravel framework at the moment, if anyone is with good knowledge of the PHP. Then Angular JS is the previous version of the Angular. It is the very first version of the Angular. So we mentioned that is the Angular JS. Now the Angular JS not using. Now we are using the Angular. Angular JS is outdated. The most of platforms that were developed with the Angular JS, now they have migrated that to the Angular. Then the Microsoft is going to provide such web development frameworks. Most popular framework is the Microsoft .NET. So .NET is supported with the C Sharp, VB kind of languages. Then again, another popular language is the Java. Java is going to provide two main frameworks, that is the Spring, other one is the Spring Boot. So difference between the Spring and the Spring Boot is Spring Boot is going to work with the embedded servers, but if you are going to work with the Spring, it is we need to use a separate uh, web servers. So that is the basic difference. The latest trends are there, the serverless application developments. In that particular case, we can use the Spring. It is more reputed and it is supported with most good architectures. Then, when we come to the term of the web development, definitely we need to identify it about the architectures. That is the most fundamental thing. So, if I say about the web development architecture or the software architecture, first of all, we need to identify that what is the meaning of the architecture. With the meaning of the architecture, you are going to remember the architecture for a building, architecture for a home. It says how we are going to arrange our home. What is the place for the kitchen? What is the place for the bathroom? Likewise, how we are going to arrange the particular places, particular locations of the home. Same like when we are going to develop the web applications or any other software applications, we need to identify that what are the different components, how we are going to connect those things. Suppose that if we are going to make some kind of construction, it may be a large building, it may be some kind of a flyover, it may be some kind of a uh, some uh, temples likewise. So first of all we need to make some kind of a design. That design we are saying the architecture in the field in the term of the ITs. So most popular three architectures are there. So I'm not going to say that these are the only architectures available. There are hundreds of architectures are there. We know that in the field of the IT, day by day we are getting more architectures. So I have listed only three architectures in here. So first one is the monolithic architecture. Then the next one is the microservices architecture, and the third one is the MVC architecture. So monolithic architecture is bit old. At the moment, microservices architecture is most popular with the term of the containerization, virtualizations kind of things. Again, the microservices architecture is going to embedded with the MVC architecture also. But anyway, the monolithic architecture is going to be outdated, and most of platforms that was developed with the monolithic architecture now they have migrated most of things to the microservices architecture, and few of them are still migrating. But in some cases, if the project is more high, if it is big projects, if they are with some lacks of their designs, still they are working with the monolithic architecture. So let's see about the monolithic architecture. So monolithic architecture is a traditional model, so as I said previously, of a software program which is built as a unit-defined unit that is self-contained and independent from other applications. The word monolith is often attributed to something large and classical, which isn't far for the truth of a monolith architecture for the software design. So it is going to work as a singular as well as a large computer network with one code base that couples all the business concerns together. That is the most important one. So it is working as a singular component. Everything is connected for one particular place. Everything is in one place. So the monolithic architecture is going to make a change to this sort of application requires updating the interest track by accessing the code base and building and deploying an updated version of the server-side interface. This makes update restrictive and time consuming. Why everything is connected for one place? It makes most restrictions for the developers and the engineers. Plus, it is making more time consuming. We know that within the project management also, the time is most important. If we need to invest more time, it implies that we have to invest more budget. Therefore, that there are more restrictions with the monolithic architecture. The monolithics can be convenient earlier on in a project's life for ease of code management. So anyway, the code management is easy because everything is in one place. We do not need to maintain different code versions. In this one single code base we have to maintain. As well, it is a cognitive overhead and the deployment is very easy since we have to deploy on one project. This allows everything in monolith to be released at once. If we release the software project, one release is there. So in that particular case, you can see some kind of architectural design for the monolithic architecture for the shopping cart application in this figure. So all the payments, shopping cart, inventory, everything is connected for one particular place. So the monolithic architecture is with few advantages. The first one is the easy deployment. So it is one executable file or one directory makes the deployment easier. No large files, no different files, no different projects, only one project and one file. We have to deploy only that. Then the development also is easy because we have to build and we have to work only one code base. Therefore, the development is very easy with the monolithic architecture. Then the testing is very simplified. So since the monolithic application is a single, the centralized unit end-to-end testing can be performed faster than with a distributed application. We know that when we go for the distributed application, the term distributed is going to say that everything is distributed. Then suppose that if there are 5 distributed items, we have to amalgamate and we have to integrate each and every components together. First, we are going to integrate 2 components. The next stage, we are going to integrate 3 components. Likewise, we are going to enlarge the project. So each stage we have to do the testings, but when we go for the monolithic architecture, no distributed items, one single component, therefore the testing is very faster. Then the easy debugging, with all the code located in one place, it is easier to follow a request and find an issue because everything is one place. In the particular case, in that particular term, with the particular concept, we can remember those things. Then again, we can see some kind of disadvantages also with the monolithic architecture. First one is the slower development speed. Why a large monolithic application makes the development more complex and slower because everything is connected with the one place. Other one is scalability. We cannot scale the projects that were developed with the monolithic architecture. If the client is going to say that now we need a new requirement for this particular project, then the developers and the engineers are going to make some kind of frustrate because they cannot enlarge, they cannot add new features for the existing project. But those things are going to overcome these existing limitations of the monolithic architecture is going to overcome with the microservices architecture. That's how we are going to link the monolithic architecture and the microservices architecture. The next limitation of the monolithic architecture is the reliability. If there is an error in any module, it could affect the entire application's availability. Suppose that if it is a banking system, the banking system is with different features: ATM facilities, cash withdrawal, cash deposit, check transactions, the pawnings, loans, and different things. Suppose that if there is an error in the cash deposit, then that error is going to make an effect for the whole the system. Then the next item is the barrier to technology adoption. Any changes in the framework or language affects the entire application, making changes often expensive and time consuming. The changes is very expensive. It implies that it is time consuming. Again, as I said previously, if we are investing more time, it says that we have to invest more budget. That's why we are saying it is more expensive. The next one is the lack of flexibility. The monolithic is constrained by the technologies already used in the monolithic architecture. The deployment, it is a small change to the monolithic application requires the redeployment of the entire monolithic. Why? We are going to develop one particular binary application, one binary file. If we are going to make small change for the one code line, again we have to compile the project and we have to generate the executable binary file, and we had to redeploy the whole project. In particular cases, we had to shut down the whole the system. Sometimes we have to suspend the system for some kind of time period. It may be 5 minutes, it may be 15 minutes, sometimes it may be 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour. It depends on the project. So then now we are going to discuss about the microservices architecture. Definitely, the microservices architecture is going to overcome the limitations of the monolithic architecture. So the microservices architecture is refers to an architecture style for developing applications. The microservices allow a large application to be separated into smaller independent parts, with each part having its own realm of responsibilities. The different parts are there. Each parts have the different responsibilities to serve. Suppose that if in the country, so when the country is governing, so there are different parts are allocated for different parties. The education is separated, health is separated, defense was separated, agriculture was separated. So each division is going to control their own job, but there are such internal connections. Likewise, for the application also, we can divide different connections, and those items are working separately and independently. They have their own responsibility. They are not going to look for others. The Minister of Education not looking for the how the Minister of Agriculture is working. No, they have their own job. Same like when we come to the microservices architecture. So application we can divide into different sections. Suppose, as I said the previous example, for a banking project, different services functionalities are there. For the cash deposit, they are not looking for how the pawning system is working. The pawning system is working separately, independently. It is isolated. Cash deposit, cash withdrawal, those are different, separate activities, and the functions, they have their own responsibility. But there is some point to link those systems. In that particular case, they are sharing and they are transmitting their on the data and files for other services. So to serve a single user request, a microservices based application can call on many internal microservices to compose its responses. So internally, they can make any kind of system calls and application calls for their works. Then the containers are well suited microservices architecture example. Why? So we know that the whole application is going to divide into different sections. In that particular cases, we need to maintain the containers. So the containers is a term. We know that how the containers are available on a ship. Small parts, every contain item. Sometimes in one ship there may be 50 or 100 containers. All the containers are going to contain by the ship. Same like the computer is going to contain all the particular containers. Then the modern cloud native applications are usually built as the microservices using containers. Now, we know that at the moment, Azure, the Microsoft is going to provide the Microsoft Azure and AWS and Oracle Cloud, Google Cloud, and DigitalOcean. Those are some popular cloud vendors. So they are coming with the cloud native solutions for the containers. Then the microservices architecture is a type of application architecture where the application is developed as a collection of services. All things are going to be collected. Everything is going to be gathered together. Then it provides the framework to develop, deploy, and maintain microservices architecture diagrams and services independently. There are different services. It may be two, there may be three, sometimes there may be 100, 200, no any limit. It is again totally depending with the requirement of the project and their organizations. So definitely, so there should be at least two components, two separate components. The upper limit is sky. So let's see what is the microservice architecture used for. The typically microservices are used to speed up the application development. Then the application architectures built using the Java command, the especially Spring Boot ones. That's why I said previously, Spring Boot is a very popular Java-based framework. It's also common to compare the microservices versus the service-oriented architecture. They both have the same objective, which is to break up monolithic applications into smaller components. But they have different approaches. So, what are the examples? The website migrations, media content, then the transactions and the invoices, then then the data processing. Those are some kind of users usages of the microservices architecture. So let's see about the different features. The first one is the website migrations. A complex website that is hosted on a monolithic platform can be migrated to a cloud-based and container-based microservices platforms. The migrations is very easier. Then the media content, the using microservices architecture, images and video assets can be stored in a scalable object storage system and served directly to web or mobile. In that particular case, it is not needed to keep in one single base, one single location, not in a one single database management system, by using different technologies. Sometimes the content management systems are there, some stored in those kind of things. Is such examples like Alfresco communities there. So we can use that kind of things also for managing the contents, video clips, images, any files. Then the next one is the transactions and invoices. The payment processing and ordering can be separated as independent units of services. Suppose if we are working with some kind of a shopping cart or any food ordering systems, so the payment and ordering, we can identify that those are two separate units. And in some extent, we can connect those features, the particular results of each stages together. The data processing, it is very important. So the microservices platform can extend the cloud support for accessing the modular data processing services. When we go for the advanced web applications, further data science and data mining projects, we need to have more processing powers. In that particular case, we can go with the microservices architecture also. So next one is the MVC framework, the model view controller. M stands for the model, V for the view, C for the controller. Is an architectural pattern that separates an application into three main logical components. Those are the model, view, and the controller. So each of these components are built to handle the specific developments aspects of an application. So MVC is one of the most frequently used industry standard web development framework to create scalable and extensible projects. That's coming because it is a very old framework and architecture than the microservices architecture. Now, at the moment, we are going to integrate these several frameworks together. There are no such limitations. Anyone is not going to say that no, we cannot amalgamate those things together. Yes, we can amalgamate those things together and we can come up with the new solutions. So what is the meaning of the model? It is a component corresponds to all the data related to the logical that the user works with. What are the particular logical data is there? So those are integrated with the model. This can represent either the data that is being transferred between the view and controller, components, or any other business logic related data. For example, a customer object will retrieve the customer information from the database, manipulate it, and update it data back to the database or use it to render data. Then the meaning of the view is used for all the UI logic of the application. For example, the customer view will include all the UI components such as text boxes, drop downs, and etc. that the final user interacts with. Then the term of the controller, uh, it is working as an interface between the model and the view components to process all the business logic and incoming requests, manipulate data using the model component, and interact with the views to render the final output. For example, the customer controller will handle all the interactions and inputs from the customer view and update the databases using the customer model. The same controller will be used to view the customer data. That is about the controller of the MVC architecture. In this slide, you can see few architectures that was generated with the model view controller. So I cannot say that this is the only the acceptable framework, this is the only acceptable framework, this is the only acceptable framework. No, there are no that kind of limitations, no any restrictions. As per the software architecture, they can design by using the fundamental theories according to their requirements. So these are, that's why I selected these three different frameworks. Some of them are from the research papers and some of them are from the blog articles. So according to our requirement, according to our project, we can adapt the particular technologies. So with that, I am going to conclude the session and thank you for sharing your ears, your eyes and minds with this presentation. Have a nice day.